Hello, everyone. Our names are Sydney Hebert,
Graham Drum.
and Patrick Powers.
and our project is titled The Relationships Within Stress, Depression, and Impulsivity. Previous research has shown that stress and depression separately impact the prefrontal cortex, which is the region of the brain responsible for impulsivity. This cortex is primarily responsible for many cognitive functions, such as decision making. Many studies show the effects of impulsivity on problematic situations such as drug abuse, drinking, personality disorders, and gambling. The purpose of our study was to determine the impact that stress and depression combined had on impulsivity. When people are experiencing high levels of stress, they engage in more risky actions and behaviors, whereas experiencing depression can make it difficult to concentrate and make logical decisions. Living during a global pandemic, a time of uncertainties, contributes to higher levels of depression and stress in society, which causes impulsivity levels to increase. These increased levels of impulsivity make it difficult for people to make cautious decisions. We believe bringing awareness to impulsivity levels may help people make more thought out decisions and hypothesize that combining stress and depression will increase impulsivity levels.
Our participants were recruited through Westfield State University. Students were given the incentive to participate in our study by professors who would count participation as an extra credit task. There were a total of 17 undergraduate students in our study. All participants gave informed consent prior to starting the assessments, were asked to fill out a demographic survey to gather basic background information. Participants' stress levels were measured using the perceived stress scale. This is a 10-item self-report questionnaire where each question is scored from 1 to 4 for a maximum score of 40. Based on the score produced by this assessment, participants were divided into 3 groups to represent their stress levels: low, moderate, or high. Participants' depression levels were measured using the Beck's depression inventory. This is a 21-item self-report questionnaire where each question is scored from 0 to 3 for a maximum score of 63. Based on scores produced by this assessment, participants were divided into 2 groups, depressed or not depressed. After these assessments were completed, participants took part in a go-no-go task, which measured their impulsivity levels. The task required participants to press the spacebar when an orange square appeared and to refrain from doing so when a blue square appeared. Participants' impulsivity levels were determined by dividing the number of squares they got correct by the total number of squares presented in the task. Higher scores represent lower impulsivity levels.
We conducted a t-test, which is a statistical test that determines the significant difference between the means of 2 groups to determine the effect depression had on impulsivity. We also conducted a one-way ANOVA, which is a statistical test used to determine the significant difference between the means of 3 or more groups to determine the effect stress had on impulsivity. Our graphs visually represent the findings. The x-axes represent the groups participants were placed in based on their scores from the perceived stress scale in the Beck's depression inventory. The y-axes represent participants' impulsivity scores based on the go-no-go task. Results from both tests illustrated no significant effect, meaning stress and depression did not impact impulsivity levels.
Results concluded that our hypothesis was not supported because neither factor had an impact on impulsivity. We believe our results may have been affected by having a low number of participants as well as conducting the study virtually. Having a low number of participation makes us question the validity of our research. In the future, we would like to conduct this study in person as opposed to virtually. Conducting this experiment in person would help prevent complications due to virtual administration of this experiment that would not occur if privy to face-to-face communication. We would like to thank everyone for participating in our assessments. Without you, we would have no data to work with and would not have been able to complete this study. We also would like to thank the professors from the psychology department who posted our study in their classrooms and provided students with extra credit as an incentive for participating. We also thank our peers for providing helpful feedback on our assignments throughout the semester. Lastly, we thank Dr. Manella for her guidance, critique, and support during a very challenging semester.